we have our county manager, Ms. Denton. Welcome.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Board of Commissioners. I am pleased to be here tonight. I'm going to give staff just a moment to pass out some information for you that I will begin to talk about shortly. So tonight, I've prepared for you the fiscal year 23 budget message. Also have a slideshow to accompany the budget message. And so Assistant County Manager Will Durfer is going to move the slideshow along in conjunction with the message as I deliver the information to you. So let me say, first of all, good evening. As the budget officer and in accordance with North Carolina General Statute 159, and the Local Government Budget and Fiscal Control Act, I'm honored to submit for your consideration the balanced fiscal year 23 recommended budget for Franklin County, North Carolina. I look forward to working with the board to ensure that the mission, vision, values, and goals for Franklin County are accomplished through the fiscal year 23 adopted budget. First, I want to comment about the mission and vision. The mission for Franklin County to provide and support exemplary public service and expand economic opportunities is a statement that the board adopted on January 25th of 2022. The county's mission is further refined by our adopted vision, stated as to preserve our past and embrace our future by ensuring healthy, safe, and affordable living and learning opportunities in a diverse and thriving economy. Adopting a mission and a vision for Franklin County is a significant step towards shaping the county's future. The challenges of growth, expanding economic opportunities, and maintaining strong fiscal performance while continuing to provide services to our residents requires focus and a clear path to ensure success. Franklin County's values. Along with the county's mission and vision, the board also recognized and adopted these values as guidance for county activities and decision-making. Respect, honesty, transparency, communication, diversity, advancement, and help. In recognition of the transparency and communication points, I must point out that the budget book that you have tonight is an updated, upgraded format. Our finance department and our department heads have worked diligently to upgrade this process. I will say that you have in front of you, as part of your package tonight, a copy of my budget message, and I have cross-referenced throughout the budget message page numbers, so that as I reference items in this message, you'll know what page to go to in that budget book. So I don't want you to miss any details in the spirit of transparency and communication. Maintaining our values as the county works to accomplish its goals, will ensure that quality outcomes remain central to county decision-making. These values will be considered as part of the decision-making and communications process as the county takes its next steps toward progress and success. Our economic environment. Overall, Franklin County's economy has remained resilient throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. The county's population growth, business development, and diversity of industry are all contributing factors to the county's overall strong economic performance. As part of the Research Triangle region, the county enjoys the connection to neighboring Wake and Durham counties, and Franklin continues to experience the impact of homeowners seeking opportunities for first-time home purchases and home sites in a growing number of new home developments. Franklin County is now more frequently the location for small and medium-sized industries seeking affordable and adequate locations for expansion and relocation that are not available in some of our neighboring higher-priced counties. In March of 22, the county's unemployment rate was 3.7%. down from the March 21 rate of 4.1%. Single-family housing permits have continued to be issued at an increasing rate for the first 4 months of this calendar year. As of April 30th, 411 single-family housing permits have been issued. These numbers reflect a growth rate in permits issued of 18.8% for the same 4-month period of 2021. The single-family permit growth rates for calendar year 2020 were 17.4%, and for calendar year 2019, 45.7%. And per the American Community Survey, Franklin County's median household income grew by 36.3% from the period between 2011 and 2015 and 2016 to 2020. Franklin County's response rate to the 2020 census was 62.1%, equivalent to the county's response rate in the previous 2 census processes. The census results placed Franklin County's population at 68,908 as of July of 2020. I want to tell you that's an absolute moving target. Our current estimates say 76,000 is our population. I feel like it's changing every minute here in Franklin County, so it's sometimes difficult to quantify. The North Carolina Office of State Budget and Management projects that Franklin County's population will reach 85,000 by 2030. I think we may get there faster. Also, the OSBM data places Franklin County as the 14th fastest growing county in North Carolina. Again, a statistic that I think is probably a little conservative. Despite the county's economic resiliency, a number of economic factors have created uncertainty and support for caution and conservative decision-making as the county moves forward. The fiscal year 23 recommended budget was developed with the understanding that our economic environment includes the elements of rising inflation, rising interest rates, unpredictable availability for necessary goods and services, and challenging employee recruitment statistics. Therefore, the recommended budget focuses on essential needs for maintaining resident services, determining the highest and best uses for available American Rescue Plan Act and grant funding, and protecting the county's investments and assets, including specifically maintaining competitive employee compensation and benefits. The majority of the recommended new positions are not scheduled to begin until the midpoint of the fiscal year in the event that economic conditions require hiring delays. The recommended capital projects will be carefully reviewed, and start times for projects will be timed to take advantage of grant funding, economic conditions, and materials pricing, even if start times are delayed into future years. Fiscal 22 highlights. Franklin County has moved forward with a number of projects and commitments in fiscal year 22, including the following significant highlights. The public safety radio system, which you just heard an update about, was approved on January 3rd, a $15.1 million project that will add 8 new towers to the current 7 towers already in the county. The Emergency Communications Public Safety Access Building, the PSAP building, on January 3rd, again, another project that the board approved to move forward with. The building, just to be really specific, is a hardened facility designed to withstand extreme weather conditions to preserve emergency communications regardless of weather or environmental challenges. It wasn't a cheap spot to build, but it's a very, very necessary piece of our public safety network. And of course, you all, the statistics are there in the message. This was largely grant funded by the North Carolina 911 Board, as well as funding that was added by the Board of Commissioners to complete the project. The wastewater treatment plant renovation, the groundbreaking for that project was held in September of 2021, an $11.6 million project that is now 52% complete. Installing new and efficient blowers, replacing aged steel tanks with concrete tanks, installing LED lighting, SCADA controls, all the things that Franklin County needs in order to make sure that our facilities and our service to residents stay consistent and up to date. The expected completion date for that project is February of 23. Triangle North Executive Airport has an airfield pavement rehabilitation project going on. Again, another largely grant-funded project for $11.9 million, requiring only a local match of $419,373. The project includes an apron expansion, new tie-downs, apron redesign, fillet area upgrades, taxiway and runway mill and overlay, again, a number of things. That project actually began this month, in April, and construction will occur in 22 and in 23. The EMS study. We've discussed the EMS study several times. The results of the study that was funded in 22 was presented to the board in March of 22. Recommendations include the construction of EMS studies, purchase of equipment, and review of the department and dispatch processes, and those things are ongoing. Automated meter reading project, January 17th, $4.55 million contract for upgrading water meters. Franklin Plaza fit up. Again, the facility that we're in tonight, opened officially October of 21, home to the Board of Elections, Veteran Services, Aging Services, and the Lewisburg Senior Center, as well as this meeting room. And again, the total cost for the fit up of the lease space was $2.3 million. Administration Building and Judicial Complex, the board approved an allocation of $2.177 million for the geotechnical and design services for a new administration building and judicial complex. Updates will be available in the coming months in those projects. And Via Health is now the county's local management entity, managed care organization, after Via Health and Cardinal Innovations announced their merger in mid-2021. The Department of Social Services, the Health Department, and EMS are all transitioning to working with Via Health. Lots of things going on in Franklin County. Budget goals. Again, fiscal year recommended budget reflects the goals that the board has adopted for guiding Franklin County's future, and specifically a further refinement of the goal to be a fiscally strong and engaged government, defined as to maintain the county's strong financial position and fiscal management policies and procedures. Lots of words on the slide there. I'll kind of highlight a few things, but they are contained within the budget message. Again, continued commitment to conservative budgeting and reasonable expenditures, adherence to adopted fiscal policies, North Carolina general statutes, a review of the ad valorem tax rate and fees for county services, recognition of the growth occurring in the county and the impact of that growth on the demand for services, and of course, progress toward accomplishing the mission, vision, values, and goals adopted by the board. Franklin County's annual budget is the most important guiding document developed by Franklin County government. It guides decisions and priorities for the upcoming fiscal year. The budget development process requires input from numerous employees, consultants, community partners, and support organizations. The recommended fiscal year 23 general fund budget totals $101,220,548, and the recommended budget for all the funds needed to manage county government operations totals $146,884,559. That's a lot of numbers. The two major categories for revenues are ad valorem property taxes and sales taxes. The tax administrator has provided a total taxable county values projection as of May 12th of 2022 of $7.05 billion. Total taxable county values, $7.05 billion. That represents growth of 7.1% over the previous year's taxable county value of $6.58 billion. The budgeted fiscal year current property tax revenues are $54,239,000. The proposed budget establishes a collection rate of 98% based on the actual fiscal year 21 collection rate of 98.4%, which is the same as the established fiscal year 22 collection rate of 98%. The fiscal year 23 current property tax revenues are budgeted to increase by $2,966,938 over the budgeted fiscal year 22 current property tax revenues of $51,273,000. The other major category, sales tax. Collection of sales tax revenue is projected to be $15,126,000 for fiscal year 22, and the fiscal year 23 sales tax revenue budget is $15 million. Again, not really sure what will happen with inflationary pressures and interest rate increases, That may decrease some consumer spending, so being conservative with that sales tax revenue projection. Property tax rates. Current property tax rates are current property taxes account for approximately 53.6% of the county's total revenues. The fiscal year 23 recommended budget recommends a decrease of 1 cent in the current tax rate of 0.795, resulting in a recommended tax rate of 0.785. For the fiscal year 23 recommended budget, a penny on the tax rate contributes $690,977. Of the 100 counties in the state of North Carolina, there are currently 21 other counties with tax rates higher than Franklin County. We've been much higher on that list in the past, but there are now 21 counties with tax rates higher than Franklin County. Next, I want to talk about fund balance and projected year-end fund balance. An amount of $2,911,378 has been appropriated from unassigned fund balance for inclusion in this recommended budget. This amount is $259,747 more than the fiscal year 22 appropriated fund balance of $2.65 million. Recall that during fiscal year 23, the board approved the $2.177 million to be allocated from fund balance for the administration building and judicial complex design work. There are reimbursement declarations that were executed in conjunction with these funds, and therefore once those projects begin, those amounts will be returned to fund balance. So I point that out. That's like a loan, so to speak. During fiscal year 22, an additional $9.8 million has been appropriated from unassigned fund balance through budget amendments for various projects and expenditures for a total fund balance appropriated of $12.526 million. Fiscal year 22 is projected to spend $6.4 million of the total $12.5 million fund balance appropriated for capital projects, and the county does not project to use any of the original $2.651 million that was budgeted in the fiscal year 22 budget limits. Expenditures. In the budget development process, county department heads were challenged with the realities of growth, and their requests represented the need to serve our residents in the most timely and efficient manner possible. Overall, departmental requests for the general fund and enterprise funds totaled $125,917,000. After budget meetings and discussions with department heads, expenditure recommendations were developed. I want to talk for a minute about the American Rescue Plan, ARPA funds. On May 19th of 2021, Franklin County received $6.7 million in American Rescue Plan funds from the first tranche distribution. The second tranche distribution is anticipated in May of 22 for another $6.7 million, resulting in total ARPA funds of $13.5 million. From the initial amount received, the county has made several commitments. $2 million to serve the healthcare needs in Franklin County by providing funds to Mariah Parham Franklin to assist with staffing and COVID response matters. The funds are available in $500,000 increments over a 2-year period as the hospital recovers from the impacts of the pandemic and meets specific milestones and reporting requirements. Funds totaling $472,000 have been used for COVID supplies and to reimburse the county for direct COVID response salary amounts in the Emergency Medical Services Department. $950,000 of the first tranche has been reserved as the requested match by Lumen Brightspeed for an $11 million Great Grant Phase 2 application that will serve almost 5,000 homes with fiber-to-the-home internet. An additional $5,000 has been reserved as the requested match by Charter Communications for an $800,000 Great Grant application to serve 223 homes with fiber-to-the-home internet. The remaining $3.3 million of the first tranche and the second tranche amounts of $6.7 million will be dedicated to a combination of COVID supplies, capital projects, including constructing and renovating EMS stations, public utilities construction, and other identified projects. Budgets for those items will be developed as planning and design processes progress. The U.S. Treasury guidelines require that funds be committed by December 30th, 2024, depending upon the specified uses. So lots of work to do in a short amount of time as we identify ways to use the funds. Fiscal year 23 budget recommendations. I want to start with positions recommended for the general fund. The fiscal year 23 recommended budget includes 16 full-time positions and 1 part-time position for the general fund. The majority of these positions are not recommended to be added until mid-year. For the additional positions requested, the total requested salary and benefits budget amount is $936,011. 17 positions recommended: onboarding and recruiting specialist in the Human Resources Department, recommended to begin August 1st. Assistant EMS Chief Compliance in the EMS Department, recommended to begin August 1st. Building Code Enforcement Officer 1 in the Planning and Inspections Department, recommended to begin August 1. Telecommunications Technology Specialist in the Communications Department, recommended to begin September 1. Facilities Maintenance Superintendent, recommended to begin September 1. Office Assistant 3 in the Health Department, recommended to begin October 1. Project Analyst in the County Manager's Office, recommended to begin October 1. Local Health Administrator in the Health Department, recommended to begin October 1. Part-time Administrative Support Specialist in the Information Technology Department, recommended to begin October 1. Assistant EMS Chief Operations in the EMS Department, recommended to begin January 1. Planner 1 in the Planning and Inspections Department, recommended to begin January 1. Administrative Support Specialist 2 in the Emergency Management Department, recommended to begin January 1. Senior Program Specialist in the Aging Department, recommended to begin January 1. Assistant County Manager in the County Manager's Office, recommended to begin January 1. Field Tax Data Collector in the Tax Department, the Assessor's Division, recommended to begin January 1. Tax Customer Service Rep 1 in the Tax Department, Assessor Division, recommended to begin January 1. And Administrative Support Specialist 1 in Animal Services, recommended to begin January 1. So a handful of much-needed positions. Vehicles recommended in the general fund. A total of 20 vehicles are being recommended for purchase in the fiscal 23 budget from a total of 32 vehicles that were requested. All vehicles purchased shall follow the guidelines in the county's fleet policy as adopted and updated. And just to comment, some of the vehicles are still very difficult to get. We're still struggling to even finish getting the vehicles that were identified in fiscal year 22. And so as we move forward, we may need to make adjustments. We may find that availability makes opportunity for some shifts in this to be more realistic. Sheriff's Office, 10 vehicles for Patrol Division and Support. Parks and Recreation, 2 replacement trucks for high mileage older 1994 and 1995 vehicles. EMS Department, 2 vehicles, including an ambulance and a quick response vehicle. Tax Department, 1 vehicle for the new field tax data collector position. Inspections Department, 2 SUV vehicles to replace high mileage aged trucks, and 1 SUV for the new Building Code Enforcement Officer 1. Information Technology Department, 1 vehicle to replace a high mileage vehicle being used in the department, and in the Maintenance Department, 1 truck for the new Facilities Maintenance Superintendent position. The total cost for all 20 vehicles that are being recommended is $1,048,000. All the vehicles except the Inspections Department and the ambulance will be financed. Compensation recommendations. The board has indicated support for the implementation of a performance pay process for employees. The fiscal year 23 recommended budget includes $30,000 for supervisor and employee training to prepare for full implementation of a performance pay process in fiscal year 24. The process will use an electronic format, and the recommended budget includes $30,500 for the purchase of a software platform for that evaluation process. As employees prepare for this new process, a cost of living adjustment or COLA of 2% with a projected dollar amount of $430,000 is recommended for implementation in the January 9th, 2023 pay period. The COLA is recommended for all full-time positions and part-time positions. Fee schedules. The fees that the county charges for services are specifically listed and included in the annual fee schedule that is published with the recommended budget. It's also available on our website under the Finance tab. There's several fee schedule changes recommended. Most of them are effective July 1st of 2022. There's just a couple of exceptions I'll point out. And I'm not going to read all these detailed fees. I'm just simply going to comment about the departments that they're in and a couple of highlights. Parks and Recreation, fees are due to increased cost of providing services. The programs and camps fees are effective November 1st. The tournament fee is effective July 1st. In the Emergency Medical Services Department, there are fee changes being recommended as part of the findings from the Ems Study that indicate that county fees have not been reviewed in a number of years, I think almost 10 years, and should be aligned with other providers in the region and with reimbursement guidelines from Medicare, Medicaid, and private insurers. So some adjustments in those rates. Recommended changes in the fire marshal fees. Again, these fees are recommended to align with the duties of the fire marshal, and the responsibilities have moved from the Planning and Inspections Department to the Fire Marshal Division of Emergency Management. A list of those, most of those are new fees. Recommended changes in library fees. These fees are recommended to reflect updated processes for equally serving customers and communicating about library materials. Electronic communications have improved materials return rates and decreased the benefits and funds collected from the fines process. So there are some changes in those fees. Next is educational opportunities. Franklin County is committed. Thank you, Will. Will reminded me today that one of my rules about presentations to the Board of Commissioners is no more than 7 to 10 slides. I want to go ahead and apologize to the board and to my department heads. We have exceeded that limit, but I think the topic allows it. Public schools. Franklin County is committed to partnering with our schools to provide appropriate funding based on student population, as described in Goal 5. Diverse educational opportunities for Franklin County's adopted goals. The partnership between Franklin County and Franklin County schools has been repeatedly demonstrated through the years, and the county's commitment to that partnership remains strong. The challenges facing Franklin County schools are numerous and can be difficult to quantify in our current education and economic environment. The impact of the pandemic and the changing levels of student enrollment have challenged the traditional formulas for determining participation in funding. The appropriations and processes for calculating funds due to student enrollment in charter schools have added complexities to an already multi-layered formula. Franklin County Schools has maintained a strong commitment to high-quality education for students while navigating through the challenges of the pandemic. Marketing and goals communication are part of the strategies that the school system has adopted to generate awareness of all the positive outcomes occurring. Franklin County Schools leadership requested $24,360,124 in total funding for fiscal year 23. The Franklin County Schools fiscal year 23 request is composed of $22,860,124 for operating expenses and $1.5 million for capital projects. Based on an analysis of the predicted enrollments for the previous 5 years versus the actual enrollments and assessing the future school capital needs that have been presented, the recommended budget includes funding the Franklin County Schools operating expenses at $471,872, a level below the Franklin County Schools requested amount. Funding for capital outlay will be at the requested amount of $1.5 million for a total Franklin County Schools funding recommendation of $22,971,872. Okay. In regard to capital projects and school facilities, the county will work with Franklin County Schools to address 2 current capital projects with an estimated cost of $2 million. In addition to the $1.5 million in capital outlay being committed, seeking solutions that may include financing or direct funding. Currently, the county has annual school debt payments of $6,148,796 and total outstanding school debt of $40,227,265 as of June 30th of 2021. I must emphasize that the recommended funding of less than the requested operating expenses should not be interpreted as a lack of support for Franklin County Schools. Instead, the county will be placing additional focus and energy on understanding the needs for education. The county manager and staff will meet with the superintendent and staff quarterly to analyze and to understand enrollment numbers and the impact of enrollment changes on the funding formulas and facilities needs. Again, Franklin County remains committed to working with Franklin County Schools leadership in understanding the challenges and needs of funding for education. There's a chart in the budget message that reflects the funding for Franklin County Schools over the last 5 years. I won't read all of those numbers there, but it is there for your reference. Vance Granville Community College has requested level funding for operational expenses and capital for the next fiscal year. The requested amounts are $369,168 for operating expenses and $20,000 for capital. Those amounts are recommended to support Vance Granville Community College. In March of 22, Vance Granville received notice of a $264,000 grant from the EDA to support the planning and design of a new facility to be constructed on the Vance Granville Community College campus in support of the Workforce and Advanced Technical Training Center. The planning grant supports the $3.5 million commitment made by the Franklin County Board of Commissioners in April of 2020 for construction of a new building on the Franklin County campus of Vance Granville to begin within 5 years. The Franklin County Schools Early College Program relocated in fiscal 21 from the mobile classroom building provided by Franklin County into Building 5 on the Franklin campus. The support and funding dedicated to this project has allowed Franklin County Schools Early College Program the space needed to grow and expand that program. Again, another example of the support for Franklin County Schools that's on the horizon when we talk about planning for capital needs and planning for the growth that the school system will experience. Next is Fiscal Year 23 Health Initiative. Franklin County leadership and partner organizations will begin an initiative in Fiscal Year 23 to focus on health and improving health resources for Franklin County employees and citizens. Statistics indicate that the pandemic has affected the overall well-being of our population in both physical and mental impacts. The Fiscal Year 23 budget supports a number of items that can contribute to the overall improvement of health for our employees and citizens. To ensure that the benefits of improving health are accurately identified and communicated, I'm recommending the formation of a team of representatives to document and determine next steps for communicating and improving the available health resources for Franklin County. Activities and support that will help this effort include several things. Some of these I've already mentioned. The $2 million of ARP funding committed to Mariah Parham Franklin. Franklin County opioid fund distributions are projected to be $3.223 million over the next 18 years, beginning with 2 installments this calendar year, totaling $395,000. Additional primary care and specialty physician offices are scheduled to open in 2023. Funding for parks and trails, including support for Epsom Park and improvements in parks and recreation facilities. Stepping up initiatives that support incarcerated individuals and address mental health and substance abuse challenges. We've already talked about the Ems Study and community paramedic resources and how they contribute to the health of our citizens. Franklin County Health Department study, $50,000 to determine facilities and programming needs. We've learned a lot from the pandemic. How do we need to move forward to ensure that our citizens are receiving the very best that they can in health care? Next is fire department tax rates. Majority of the county's fire departments did not request a change in their fire tax for fiscal year 23. Missioner's Crossroads requested an increase from 7.5 to 8.5 cents. Youngsville Fire Department requested an increase from 9 cents to 9.57 cents. White Level requested an increase from 8.5 cents to 10 cents. The requested fire tax rate changes are recommended for implementation. Public utilities. Franklin County Public Utilities has continued to experience steady growth in customers served due to the growth in housing in Franklin County. Currently, 8,879 customers are served, reflecting an increase of nearly 6% from the fiscal year 22 year-end number of 8,414 customers. The recommended fiscal year 23 public utilities budget totals $17,367,098 and addresses the needs of growth and infrastructure expansion. Here are the recommendations. First, rate changes. Water and sewer rates are recommended to increase as follows. I'm not going to read those out all specifically, but they are included within the budget message. And again, affect various classes of customers: low volume users, high volume users, landlord account, multi-users, and the municipal bulk sale. Again, these changes are recommended to be effective with the September 2022 billing cycle. Information to customers and billing notices will be distributed to provide details. Infrastructure improvements and the implementation of the 2019 water supply study recommendations support these rate increases. Remember that on December 16th of 2020, the final report in the water supply study was delivered to the board and included rate recommendations to support investments needed for the long-term water solution for Franklin County. There are some additional service and fee changes: hydrant meter usage, irrigation accounts, meter set fees, inspection fees, and a fog permit that are also included in the document. New positions in public utilities. Again, 4 full-time positions are recommended. Total requested salary and benefits amount of $230,834. A utilities inspector 2, an asset management specialist, a billing and AMI, which is automated meter reading technician, and utilities meter technician, all recommended to begin August 1st. Some vehicles and equipment that are needed and recommended for funding in fiscal year 23 are needed to perform the daily work functions, support the capital projects that are underway in the department and the capital projects that are planned. The total amount recommended is $176,000 and includes funds for a 1-ton 4-wheel drive flatbed truck, an enclosed trailer for maintaining sewer infrastructure items, a 4x4 utility vehicle, a half-ton 4x4 F-150 truck, and a half-ton 4x4 truck as a new vehicle for the Utilities Inspector 2 position. Public utilities capital projects. Again, capital projects in public utilities are frequently multi-year. In addition to the wastewater treatment plant renovation project and automated meter reading project previously mentioned, there are several other notable projects underway. Youngsville Main Street Improvement Project is scheduled to begin in June. The county has entered into an interlocal agreement with the town of Youngsville. While the street work is being done and the street is open, then water and sewer infrastructure beneath Main Street will be replaced and repaired. Franklinton Pump Station Rehabilitation, again, 3 H lift stations in Franklinton, Korea, Oak Ridge Lift, and the US 1A lift station are all part of that project. The Han interconnection upgrade will upgrade the existing meter connecting Lewisburg water supply to public utilities water supply, and the Wall Road interconnection. Again, efforts to secure water resources for the county have continued since the water supply master plan was presented, and so there is a construction underway for an interconnection with the city of Raleigh for a short-term supply agreement of 400 MGD annually. Recommended capital projects to begin in public utilities: Youngsville Force Main replacement in the sewer area, planning and design, $200,000. East Youngsville elevated water tank, planning and design, $400,000, ARPA funded. And again, that is just the planning and design for a water tank. It will take a lot more than that to build it. Rays Creek outfall capacity analysis for sewer, $300,000. Joe's Creek outfall capacity analysis for sewer, $300,000. Richland Creek Regional Pump Station and outfall sewer planning and design, $1 million project to plan and design, and that's a finance project. Water main Holden Road 12-inch water line planning and design, $300,000. Wastewater treatment plant, shop, equipment storage facility, $500,000. Water line analysis, 401 Morris Pond Road area, again, $500,000. Water main extension, an 8-inch extension, US 1 and NC 56, $250,000. And SCADA replacements, $150,000. Again, lots of activity in public utilities. Solid Waste Enterprise Fund. Solid Waste Department is appropriately designated as an enterprise fund. The total recommended fiscal year 23 budget is $5,056,006. No changes in fees are recommended for solid waste services. Requests for equipment upgrades include 4 trash compactors and upgraded site equipment. A new location for the Youngsville convenience site is being actively pursued and will be presented to the board as details are finalized. Staff is continuing to identify the funds required for post-closure maintenance of the county's closed landfill, an ongoing expense for the county. A separate action for the board's consideration at a future meeting will be a recommendation for a $1.8 million loan to the Solid Waste Enterprise Fund to begin the repayment process for previously loaned amounts to the Enterprise Fund, $850,000, as well as providing the funds $950,000 for the improvement of solid waste facilities, including the transfer station and convenience sites. Capital improvement plan and county projects. Capital improvement plans for the general fund, public utilities, and solid waste are included with the recommended budget for approval. These CIPs have been developed with input from the county's financial advisors and include the recommended funding sources for each project. Very, very detailed documents, lots of words on the page for those. Projects are recommended for funding in fiscal year 23 are included in the fiscal year 23 recommended budget. The CIPs reflect compliance with the county's debt funding policy to address the identified capital needs. Again, the departments provided their input in November of 2021. The budget process begins almost as soon as it finishes as we look ahead to all these various pieces and as our budget grows. Again, the CIP is a planning document for fiscal year 24, 25, 26, 27, and actually the public utilities planning document extends out for a total of 10 years. But these are modeled for discussion and development, but funding's not requested for those future years, just for the current year at this time. But the board is requested to adopt the capital improvement plans as planning documents for the county. County facilities updates. Again, the county has continued to address facility needs as identified in the facilities review and space assessment study conducted in July of 2019. In addition to the Franklin Plaza, the Emergency Communications PSAP building, and the Administration Building Judicial Complex projects previously mentioned, county facilities projects include the former Aging Department Senior Center space at Shannon Village is being prepared as the location for the Tax Department, Planning and Inspections Department, and Environmental Health Department with a projected move-in date of July 2022. The former Board of Elections space in the Human Services Building is being prepared as the location for emergency medical services, emergency management, emergency operations center, and the fire marshal functions with a projected move-in date of July of 2022. As a result of the EMS study, again, the board provided approval to begin the site location and preliminary design work for the EMS station. ARPA funds will be used for that construction. And I've already mentioned identification and site development for a new solid waste Youngsville convenience site. So again, county facilities activities are ongoing and very needed as we respond to growth. Policy updates. The annual budget ordinance defines the documents that the county manager has the authority to execute. In recognition of the potential for design contracts to be presented for execution, an addition is requested to allow the manager to exempt and execute design services contracts from the Minnie Brooks Act as described in North Carolina General Statute 143-64.32 when the fees are estimated to be less than $50,000. There are lots of activities where we use engineers and other services to design things for the county as we move forward. And so some of these processes are defined in statute and allowed based on the board's approval. The board is also asked to consider a revision to the value of the surplus property disposal to allow the manager to increase the value from the current $5,000 amount to an amount not to exceed $30,000 as allowed and described per North Carolina General Statute 160A-266. And again, a very prescriptive process in that statute for the check marks that the county manager has to go through in order to do any kind of surplus in the property. All right. Talk for a while, next steps. The budget work session has been scheduled for this Thursday at 5 o'clock, back here in this same location to discuss the recommended budget. A public hearing for the budget will be noticed for Monday, June 6th during the regularly scheduled Board of Commissioners meeting. There is a public portal for budget comments available on our website. If you look on the finance page under budgets, it's located there. But I think it will be coming to the surface, maybe in a couple of other spots, to ensure that if you have any public comments, we welcome those. And any that are received through the portal will be shared by the clerk to the board, with the board, prior to the public hearing. The recommended fiscal year budget and the manager's budget message and presentation are available, and I will say that'll be first thing in the morning, will be available on the Franklin County website under the Finance Department tab. So any questions about any of that information, it will be online and available for review. And of course, the recommended budget may be considered for adoption at the conclusion of the public hearing, at any special call board meeting for that purpose, or at the June 20th scheduled board meeting. Kind of a final wrap up. Of course, Franklin County has a promising future based on the residential and business development interest in the county. Our county's employees are our greatest asset and have consistently responded to the challenges of our post-COVID environment and remain committed to serving our residents. I'm honored to serve as your county manager, and I'm energized by the board's support and devotion to our county's success. I look forward to further discussion and review of this recommended budget and any request for additional information. I'm committed to achieving our mutual goal of adopting a successful fiscal year 23 budget. So I certainly appreciate the time and attention that each of the commissioners has devoted to this process. You can tell from all of this